On the morning of June 30th, 1908, the sky above Siberia caught fire. A blazing streak tore across the heavens, brighter than the rising sun. And then, the heavens exploded. A blinding flash lit the taiga as if the earth itself had ignited. The shockwave slammed into the land with impossible force. 80 million trees fell in a single instant. Hunters were thrown to the ground. Animals hurled into the air. The earth itself shuddered, as though struck by a giant's fist. What had struck this land with such fury? To find the truth, we must go back to the hours before the sky betrayed them all. Siberia, vast and endless, a land of forests without end. The taiga, the largest forest on earth. Here, summers were brief, winters merciless, and yet life endured. Rivers carved through the wilderness, feeding man and beast alike. This was the land of the Evenki people, hunters, herders, guardians of the reindeer. They moved with the seasons, following ancient rhythms. Their lives had changed little for centuries. The forest was not just home, it was lifeblood. Each morning began in silence. Fires were lit, kettles boiled, smoke curled into the sky. Men prepared for the hunt, women worked hides, tended to reindeer, kept the camp alive. The air was filled with the scent of pine and smoke. Dogs barked at the forest's edge, restless in the morning stillness. Life here seemed eternal, unchanged, unshaken. But beyond the horizon, the sky was stirring, and soon the silence of the taiga would be broken forever. It began with a faint glow on the horizon, a strange light, brighter than any morning star. Hunters paused, staring upward in unease. The streak grew larger with each heartbeat. It was as though the heavens themselves were tearing open. Animals sensed it first. Birds burst from the trees in panic. Dogs barked wildly, refusing to be calmed. The glow grew brighter still, casting long shadows. Daylight came too soon, unnatural and harsh. Evenki elders whispered that the sky spirits were angry. Others simply fell silent, unable to comprehend. The air grew hot, the forest uneasy. The streak of fire stretched across the heavens. It didn't fade, it only grew. The ground animals fled in terror. Birds circled frantically, shrieking as they fled. The hunters knew something was coming. The air itself seemed to hum with energy. Fear spread through every living thing. Shadows stretched long, bending unnaturally. The glow turned the dawn into blinding midday. Villagers shielded their eyes from the brilliance. The taiga was no longer at peace. The world held its breath. The hunters stared upward, powerless to stop it. The fire in the sky swelled brighter still. The light was unbearable, and yet no one could look away. The omen had arrived. The streak of light became a blazing fireball. It tore through the atmosphere brighter than 1,000 suns. Clouds ripped apart in its wake. Then, at last, it erupted. The heavens cracked with thunder. A flash lit the taiga, brighter than the sun itself. The light burned through closed eyes. It was as though the world had turned to fire. And then the shockwave fell. The land itself convulsed. The blast struck with the force of 1,000 bombs. 80 million trees fell in a single moment. Trunks snapped like twigs. Branches were stripped bare. Hunters were hurled to the ground. Reindeer were flung into the air. The sound was a roar beyond imagination. It shattered windows hundreds of kilometers away. People far beyond Tunguska heard the sky split open. The shockwave raced around the world. Heat waves rolled across the taiga. Grass ignited where it stood. The bark of trees blackened instantly. Birds burned in mid-flight. The forest became a storm of fire. The sky itself turned black with smoke. From above, a perfect circle of ruin spread outward. At the centre, nothing survived. The taiga lay broken in every direction. The wilderness was silent but for fire and wind. Hunters crawled from the ground, dazed and afraid. Some thought the world itself had ended. Others believed the gods had struck the land. The air was hot, the earth still trembling. No one who saw it would ever forget. The blast echoed across the taiga for minutes. Even far away, men felt the sky tremble. In Tunguska, the day the sky fell had truly begun. And then, as suddenly as it began, the world fell silent. No birds, no voices, only the crackle of fire. The taiga was broken, a graveyard of trees. The forest that had stood for centuries lay crushed in a heartbeat. The silence was more terrifying than the blast itself. Those who survived stumbled through the ruins. Hunters rubbed their eyes, half blinded by the flash. Some could not hear, their ears shattered by the blast. Reindeer lay scattered. The earth smelled of ash and burning. The sky above was black with smoke. The sun itself was dimmed by the haze. Some fell to their knees, praying to spirits. Others fled deeper into the taiga, too afraid to stay. They had no words for what they had seen. The taiga stretched flat for kilometres. At the centre, every tree was gone. Toward the edges, trees leaned outward, scorched but standing. The devastation formed a perfect circle. It was as though the land itself had been branded. In the villages, stories spread quickly. Some believed a mountain had exploded. Others swore the world was ending. But no one knew what had truly happened. No crater, no stone, only ruin. The taiga would never be the same again. In the days that followed, the skies themselves changed. At night, clouds glowed with silver and blue. The light was seen as far away as Europe. In London, men wrote letters by midnight without lamps. The heavens had been scarred, and the world could see it. But in Tunguska, no one came to see. For years the land lay silent. Only hunters and herders whispered of what had happened. Stories spread of fire from the sky and thunder that shook the earth. But the world soon forgot. It was not until 1927 that science came to Tunguska. Leonid Kulik led the first great expedition. He expected to find a crater. Instead, he found only trees, all pointing away from an empty centre. The mystery deepened. Some said it was a meteor. Others swore it was a comet dissolving in the air. A few whispered of stranger things still. No stone, no crater, no proof. Only the silence of a wounded land. To this day, the Tunguska event remains unexplained. The day the sky fell and left only questions behind.